So
over
do
here
prospect
over
or-
at the widget analytics session of
So Zoom
SCS.
Prospector is,
No, not SCS. What am I talking about?
national
Of
search.
Widget Web
Basically, we want to be
Expo.
like truly
I'm listening
Zillow
to Jody
or
McDermott's session once
Sweet.
it starts.
So that's what we do. For LinkedIn.
As a mini web page. So this example here just has a National Geographic widget on the NetVibes page, but it's a piece of content. So on the ClearSpring platform, when you see a widget out there, it usually has some sort of grab and share button, or there's a dock hanging off of it that says you can get this widget and place it. So a visitor can click on that. And when they do, our menu comes up and has a lot of different options. There's the embed code that you can grab. There's one-click publishing off to what actually starts to make it a widget. Okay, so as we lead into the analytics piece, before you ever start even talking about metrics and whatnot, you have to start thinking about what is it you want to measure, why do you measure, what's the purpose. So, we talk about widget strategy. Begin with the end in mind. One of my favorites, stay away from that mic over there. One of my favorite sayings. So, you start with who's your target audience, who are you trying to reach. We work with a lot of big publishers who are trying to get out there and get their brand known, reach specific target audience. So you've got to really start with what are you trying to accomplish? Are you, and whatnot. So are you trying to get people to come back to your site? Are you trying to, reach people that aren't coming to your site so that eventually they do come back to your site? Direct response, are you selling something? You're trying to get people to register? Brand awareness. So you can use tools like ComScore or Nielsen or even Quantcast to try to identify who your target audience and who you're trying to actually market to. Demographics, gender, where are these folks, right? Most people that are building widgets are going after the social networking sites, but they're also here. Okay, a little bit of conversation. So seeding your widget. Proper seeding is what's going to help you get that viral lift. And it fuels the whole spreading process with your widget. So prominent placement on places, or this to really say pages, is key to making this all work. So if I'm a big brand, I want to put it on my corporate website. I might want to go out and create a Canvas page on Facebook, or go seed it on blogger sites that write about my subject matter, or seed it on, with my affiliate networks. If I have affiliates so that I can go and get placements on their site for free, I want to make sure I go out there and I do that. You also want to make sure that people know it's actually a widget. We see a lot of folks put a widget on their site, but it's not prominent. They've configured their widget such that the grab and share button isn't very prominent if they've customized it. Or it's hidden in a corner of the page, or they buy across an ad network or whatnot. A lot of widgets are 300 by 250, standard IAB size. That's yet another way to promote your widget, but if you're going to be advertising, you're going to pay a CPM for that advertisement, but you're going to get a whole nother impression level off of it, which actually reduces your effective CPM at the end of the day. All right, precisely how your widgets are actually performing. You want to monitor your campaigns, and a campaign can be just promoting your own content. It doesn't have to be, trying to sell a product. How often is your widget being viewed? Where is it actually spreading from? How are people interacting with your widget? Where is it being placed when it does get grabbed? Where are people installing that widget? And then how long does that installation base actually get maintained? So you'll see widgets get grabbed, they'll peak, and then you'll start to see the installation base churn away. So as new installs are being created, are you maintaining that base? Are you building that base? Or you merely just kind of have content that might be dying that you need to re-energize or refuel in some way? So the goal here is to understand where it's being seeded, where it's being spread the most, so that you can then either optimize within your own campaign or start to benchmark for future seedings of widgets so that you can get more viral lift for those widgets later on. Okay, so metrics and metric widget that gets put out there, and then visitors come and they view that widget. You have unique visitors, you have all the standard web analytics metrics, but you have this new metric called grab. We call it grab, some people might call it something else, but the concept is the same. That they are grabbing that widget and they're placing it to a destination site, and it's getting viewed at least once. So just because I go and I see a widget and I sit there and I say, copy embed, copy embed, copy embed. You don't want to count that. You want to know that it's actually been viewed once for where it was actually placed. So we have that particular threshold to cross before we actually count a grab. Installs. So you have that widget that's on a source domain, and then it's placed to a destination domain where it actually is given life, and it's now an install. So I grabbed it from MySpace, and I placed it to Facebook. So you have an install that's now sitting sitting on Facebook, MySpace, to MySpace. So once it's on MySpace, how often is it being viewed? Does it stay active over a period of time? Does the visitor delete the widget after a period of time? And they're communicating back and forth with them. We have two different metrics that we look at. One is audience extension, where you're looking at off-domain views versus on-domain views. I'm going to show you a graph in the next slide that starts to illustrate that. We have several customers who have seeded widgets that are now garnering more views than their main website. And some of these are pretty big websites. Some of the sports verticals, very popular, where you're reaching customers that you may not be able to get them to come to your site, but you're finding them in other places around the internet. The second metric is viral lift. Off-domain grabs versus on-domain grabs. So you can only spread your widget so much to your own website, or from your own website, based on the amount of traffic that you actually have. So getting it out there and finding other sources of traffic so you can get that additional lift is very critical, which essentially gives you this, what we call killer reach. So you're able to you may have already saturated some of these other marketing channels to get people to come to your own website. So you're finding ways to go and find them off of your website, potentially drive them back, or at least establish a relationship off within their iGoogle page, their NetVibes page, or within social networks where they can spread your brand, become an affiliate of your brand. Okay, so engagement analytics. This is such a buzzword right now around the internet. Everybody's talking about it. Is there a formula to it? What is it? So what does it mean to be engaged? It means to be greatly interested, committed, to hold the attention of, or all the definitions. So can you really measure engagement? Well, my personal interpretation of engagement is that it's actually a whole umbrella of metrics, and you have to choose the metrics from that toolbox that apply to the content that you're action events, so you can tell how many people clicked on the blue button versus the red button, or how many people decided that they wanted to play the game versus look at the trivia, or how many people wanted to register. Is the visitor sharing the content with others? Are they emailing it off? Are they grabbing it and placing it other places? Or are they getting a lot of views to wherever the install of that widget happens to be? And how is the visitor sharing the content? Are they emailing it, comments, invites? Some of this goes on, likely you'll see with any website or with any type of marketing campaign. You want to use compelling content. You want to, in this case, you want to make it an application. You want to make it a widget. Widgets can also be registered as applications. Does everyone in here understand the difference between a widget and a social application? Raise your hand if you do.
We all think it's the same thing.
How many of you are lying?
We've all agreed.
High interaction rate. And one thing that they did is, as the widget started to come down, they then reached out to a whole series of bloggers and had people blog about the fact that there was an Easter egg inside of the widget. So if you go and you mouse over the YouTube 3D logo and you hold down your mouse button for 3 seconds, it unlocks a whole nother piece of content. So that was very interesting as well, because we saw the content here, the views to the widget and the installs to the widget kind of lift up again as people re-energize the content around it. So what's next with widgets? The Web Analytics Association, which a lot of us who are at this conference are associated with, or some of the promoters of the conference, we're working on standards around measurement, just specifically around measurement. How do you measure widgets? How do you talk about them within your own web analytics tool? How can you integrate your web analytics tool within your widget so that you can use both tools to measure? Monetization models. There's probably been some talk about that over the last day or two of how to monetize your widget. And widgets